What is going on, my friends, and welcome back to another video on the channel. Well, all of you know why we are here today. We are gathered here today, of course, because of what we are seeing from Mana. Of course, we did see this triangle in which we've been tracking for the last couple of days. I personally was under the belief that we were going to see the breakout to the upside, but we knew that we had less than 3 days before a breakout in either direction was coming, and it just so happened to be to the downside. So, of course, what we're going to talk about today is what I'm expecting from Mana, how I would be playing this, and the best way that I think you can maximize and capitalize on what we are seeing from the price right now. So with that being said, of course, let's go ahead and let's get into it. So of course, again, what we've been covering the last couple of days, honestly about a week now, was this triangle, this descending triangle in which we were in. Now the thing about this is that we've been saying on the channel for the last, honestly, about a week to week and a half that I was not doing any buying until we saw a breakout from this triangle. I said I'm not buying it until it at least breaks up, or I'm not buying it until it breaks down and finds some support. Okay, there was no way we were buying in here. So many of us, that did save us a lot of money if we were buying within this triangle. But what we're seeing at the moment is that we did break to the downside, found some support, and maybe possibly reestablishing this previous level of support as resistance. Now, the reason that I think this is a realm, within the realm of possibility is because of what we're seeing from the total market itself. So looking at the total market cap too, this is going to be basically the market cap of all of our cryptos excluding Bitcoin. We see this massive wick to the downside, right? We see a huge red candle with a massive wick. Now, usually what happens when we see a huge fall and within a day we recover back up to, create some large wick like this is that we will see a bit of a retracement back to around whatever level we put in that low there, right? You see how we bounced, we saw the wick, we saw recovery, but we eventually fell back down to that level. If you can come see back here, we did the same thing. We saw the, oops, there we go. We saw this huge fall, we bounced, but we ended up coming back to this level. Similar here, of course, we saw this big wick, and then we bounced, came back down to this level, and it goes on and on and on. And it's a tendency, right? It's a tendency to see that fall back to that direction before possibly finding the uptrend. So what I'm looking at for Mana, for example, is that I think there's a very strong possibility that it follows a similar pattern, in which right now, we very well could establish this now as resistance and continue a bit of a descent to the downside. I think that's within the realm of possibility. Do I know that's going to happen? Of course, you can never know that's going to happen, but it is something I'm being extremely cautious of right now. So the way in which I'm personally playing this is that I'm still in profit, okay? I'm still in profit on Mana, and the way that I'm going to play this is, personally speaking, I'm going to actually take some of the profits out. Now, a lot of people say, well, you shouldn't take profits on red days. Well, realistically, looking at this thing, it's actually recovered quite well. And so even taking profits here, I may be taking it like 4 or 5% less than what I would have if we were still, in yesterday, okay? Now, the reason that I'm doing that is because of the risk of seeing the fall to the downside. But I'm under the belief that if 3 things happen, that we are going to continue to the top side. And at that point, if I decided to work my way back in, I would. But realistically, I take profits all the time. Now, I'm not taking out my initial investment. I'm actually not taking out even a majority of the profits that I've made. I'm taking out 30% of all the profits that I've generated off of Mana. What that means is that, say if I put in $1,000 and it went up to $1,300, so I have $300 in profit, I'm solely just taking $100 out of that, just to lock in some profits while I'm up, but to also minimize the potential of losing some of those profits if the price does continue to the downside. So the 3 things that I'm going to be keeping an eye out on in order for me to maybe buy back in, or a possible another buying point if you're looking to actually dollar cost average in or get a good entry, is going to be these 3. First and foremost, what I need to see is that we're able to recapture our 4-hour EMAs and get back above this 50 EMA on the 4-hour charts. This is a key level. Touch, 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 touch. We come to this 50 all the time. And until we're able to get back above this 50 EMA on the 4-hour charts, I wouldn't personally be buying. Now, in the time frame that we are doing that, I would also love to see that we're able to break this descending level of resistance that you can see in this purple line. Let's just go ahead and get rid of this one. So of course, this is going to be a key level of resistance now. This is going to be a level that we very well could bounce and interact with until eventually looking for the breakout. So in the process of trying to recapture that 4-hour 50 EMA, I'm also going to be looking for the clearing of this purple trend line. And then very, very last but not least, another huge buying point, something that would really say, okay, we're back in business, is of course the breaking of our 618 to 786 Fibonacci zone from the high that we put in on November 25th down to the low that we put in last night. You draw your Fibonacci's out there, and what you're going to be able to see is that we have this 618 to 786 zone, which is going to be roughly between $5.20 and $4.64. That is going to be the final level of confirmation for me to say that, okay, likelihood is we've bounced, we've cleared the trend line, we've gotten back above our 50 EMA, and we've also gone up to clear the 786 level off of our most recent swing high to swing low event, and all of those will tell me, okay, this thing is very likely continuing back up, and at that point, dependent on what my capital is looking like, I may buy some back in, or I may just sit back and knowing that my gains are on the way. Now, I do believe that this is going to eventually happen. I'm still under the belief of that. One of the biggest reasons is looking at something like the 4-hour MACD. Although we did see an absolutely dramatic fall at one point last night, it's still trying its hardest to recover and see this bullish blue and orange crossover. So what this tells me is that the market still wants to see alts win. We look at something like Bitcoin dominance, for example. It's not done anything. It's still dropping. So what that means is that even as the market dropped, people weren't funneling money out of altcoins into Bitcoin. They were actually funneling into some of the larger altcoins, such as Ethereum, such as Solana, right? Those were seeing some of the not as bad falls. And what that tells me is that there is still the confidence in our altcoins. And with the confidence in altcoins comes the ability to recover. And that's what I think that we have here. So overall, for now, I'm going to take a little bit of profits off the table while I'm still up, just in case the market does what it does a lot and continues to, trickle down a little bit. And then once we start to get these confirmations to the upside, then I'll start to look, okay, maybe I'll buy back in, or maybe I'll just sit back and let some of my gains compound while I find other entries in other cryptos. So overall, it does not mean that I don't think Mana will continue. I think Mana is probably one of the strongest metaverse cryptos that I think has the strongest chance of making it through this whole thing. And so I'm definitely going to be backing it. I'm going to continue to make videos on it as long as y'all want to see it. And of course, if you want to, just let me know by smashing that like button so even more people see these videos. And it does give me a little extra incentive, of course, to make these, as of course they do get the most views, and it's always a good time, of course, in my own selfish way. So with that being said, I hope you guys did enjoy today's video. If you did, again, don't forget to smash that like button and subscribe to the channel if you are new, and I'll see you all next time. Peace.